Okay, we're back to this. Our little update today is called Redwood. It is pretty. You know, it's amazing what carvings look like in redwood. They're so rich and beautiful. But for those of you that know about redwood, it's a protected tree. During the turn of the last century, there was these huge redwood forests in California, and I mean, you know, billions of board feet of this kind of wood because these trees were so big. And so they just cut it down like nobody's business, and because there was just so much of it. And then one day they realized that, you know, because this is a product right here that even though it grows extremely quick, in order to get to the large sizes, like this came out of a piece of tree like that, it takes hundreds of years. And so to replenish it is just long periods of time. But this piece of tree right here, this piece of redwood, came out of a tree that we're going to show you here in a minute. Thank you. Okay. So for those of you that heard the last time that I was here give an update on this, we were offered a very large log for free in California. And what happened was we loaded up a team with logging equipment, chainsaws, and all kinds of other things to get this tree, get it loaded up, and bring it up here. Now, the species of tree that we were offered that was really large wasn't the ideal tree, wasn't the ideal wood, but nonetheless, it was free and it was within the size range that we were looking for. When we reached California and we actually reached the area that this log was, it was determined that this particular log had a crack in it that we were told by our expert log carving guy that if we carved that tree, it would present a catastrophic failure of the carving. So what we decided to do was, and we believe that the Lord worked providentially to get us to California. You know, because I don't know about you guys, but I've never had a real desire to go to California, to be honest with you. Okay? And so the Lord had to do something to get us in the car to go down there. Yes. So we got down there. No offense to anybody here from California, okay? So we got down there, and we were about 95 miles away for where these other big trees go. And I said, hey, we're down here. Maybe the Lord brought us down here. We just need to beeline it to these trees because we have this project here where, you know, we want to, carve this Daniel 2 image. And I know, you know, some people think, hey, this is an idol. We'll address that in a few minutes. I just want to kind of go over a few thoughts here in regard to quotes here of why this tree is important to use. This is from letter 326, 1906. You can also get this in Evangelism, page 204, paragraph 3. Brother S., that's Brother Simpson, dwells especially upon the prophecies in the books of Daniel and the Revelation. Now notice that. He has a special bent to those two books. He has small representations, large representations of the beasts spoken of in these books. These beasts are made of paper mache, and by an ingenious invention they may be brought at the proper time before the congregation. Thus, he holds the attention of the people, while he preaches the truth to them. Through this effort, hundreds will be led to a better understanding of the Bible than they ever had before. We trust that there will be many conversions. So hundreds are what? Brought to a better understanding by the use of these visual aids, right? Catholics attracted by symbols. Elder S, that's Elder Simpson, is arousing a good interest by his meetings. People of all classes come out to hear and see the life-size images that he has of the beast of Revelation. A great many Catholics come to hear him. So this is not just a method of reaching the common people, but we want, there are 1.2 billion Catholics that we need to reach, right? So this works very effectively with Catholics. The labors of Elder S remind me of the labors put forth in 1842 to 44, right? He uses the Bible and the Bible alone to prove the truth of his arguments. He presents a plain, thus saith the Lord. Then if any oppose his words, and this is going back to a subject we talked about earlier, if we're putting our own words in construction that's never been revealed to Scripture, they can argue with us, right? But look at this. He uses a thus saith the Lord. Then if any oppose his word, he makes it plain that they must have their controversy not with him. Take it up with the Bible. He has large, lifelike representations of the beasts and symbols in Daniel and Revelation. These are brought forward at the proper time to illustrate his remarks. So she's saying here that 1844, that what Elder Simpson is doing reminds her of the work that was done in 1844. So let's go back and get a snapshot of what the work was that was being done in 1844. This is from Signs of the Times, 1844. That was a periodical. The meetings are still continued at Great Tent and have increased in interest since our last account. The congregations were much interested. Brother Fitch lectured in the afternoon, briefly going over the 2nd, 7th, and 8th chapters of the prophecies of Daniel, the rise and fall of the 4 universal kingdoms that were to precede God's everlasting kingdom, was illustrated in a very impressive manner by the aid of a carved image. Is that what we're talking about doing? Amen. A carved image representing the one described in Daniel chapter 2, verse 32 and 33. When proof was adduced that ancient Babylon had fell, the head of the image was taken off and laid aside, and so the breast and arms, the belly and sides, and then the legs, leaving nothing but the feet and toes. None but the willfully blinded could help seeing that we are living in the very last days. More attentive congregations could not be found than we had throughout the day. The number that thronged the tent could not have been much, if any less than 5,000 persons per meeting, PM and evening. Does this methodology work? How would you like to have a meeting with 5,000 people come? So here we have Brother S is having these meetings to great effect. The way that he's conducting his meetings is reminiscent of 1844. This is what was happening in 1844, right? But notice this quote. The Lord has been working with Elder S. Who's been working with him? The Lord, teaching him how to give to the people the last warning message. Do you get that? What's his methodology? He's using the Bible alone with very few words, and he's using large symbols, images, and all this kind of thing to educate to the people. And we're being told here that the Lord was working with him, teaching him how to give the people the last warning message. Now, how many people want to be part of giving the last warning message? Well, if the Lord was teaching Elder Simpson how to give the last warning message, shouldn't we be following his methods? Yes or no? Absolutely. And so we went on a trip. Now, we didn't have a cool little bus like that, but we ended up here, right on the coast in California. How many people have ever been there? Massive trees, aren't they? massive trees. And so we come over the mountain range down into the east side. Actually, east side. I'm from the East Coast, so the coast is on the east. We come on the west side of the mountain range, and we're coming down over the mountain range, and we pull off on the side of the road because as soon as we crested the top of the hill and that climate change hits, where that moisture is coming off the coast there, the very first thing we see is, boom, these big trees. So we pulled over and we could use that one, that. I mean, they're everywhere, right? So here these trees are. Here's an image for those of you who haven't seen how really gigantic some of these trees are. Now, this is an old growth tree, and these trees are protected. And you think that's big? Look at this one. Wow. That's absolutely huge. I'm not even sure that if somebody gave us a tree like that, we'd even be able to handle it, right? I mean, that's just really big. Okay, that's huge. But what happened was, providentially, the Lord led us to this place. Now, this right here that you see is a place that we went to. It's on a piece of property. This is one of the remnants of one of these old growth trees that had come down years before. And so the only way that you can cut down one of these giant redwoods when they reach a certain size is you have to get a permit. Now, we were in a place called Humboldt County. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. Sort of like the squid, Humboldt squid. And we're in Humboldt County, California. How many people have ever been there? Okay. What is the political atmosphere there?
Tree huggers.
It's really, really restrictive on harvesting any natural products. And so the only way that you can take down one of these trees, and I understand, preserving these trees, but even on private property, the only way that you can remove one of these trees is by special permit. And the qualifications of the permit have to do with whether or not that tree poses a risk to property, loss of life, and all this kind of thing. So what has to happen is that, and I was told that the process of getting a permit to cut one of these trees down is that it's a case-by-case thing. And in some instances, if you have a structure and the tree is right next to the structure, and somebody says, well, this tree is going to damage my structure, the structure goes. The tree has more rights. But what happened was we contacted very, very many tree service companies in the Humboldt County area to find out if any of them had on their schedule or docket a tree similar to what we wanted that was scheduled to be cut down or had been cut down. Well, we felt that this was a providential leading because the day that we found out there was a crack in the tree that we went for, at the time that we were going through this experience, at that very time, this tree that we knew not about was being cut down and felled because of special permits were being met. And we were told by the tree service that it's very rare for one of these to come about. But the very day that we went there, it was happening. And so that's myself and the guy that cut the tree down. There's Jason here, right here to the left, taking a picture. So we're making our way up to the site where the tree is that had been felled the day that we drove up there. And this is the next morning. And here is the tree. It's laying on the ground. You can see the mass of it. What's that? He said he measured it at 7 feet. So that's the log laying on the ground. That is the log from a wider viewpoint. That's Tyler, my son, climbing up on it. This is the stump right here. with Jason up on there. And there's Jason and Tyler on the log. And there's Lorna. Okay. You got the same pose. There's Jason taking pictures there. And you can't see Sharon. She's in between Jason and the tree service guy. And so this right here, on the way to look at the tree, that's another carving right there. That's Sasquatch, and you can see that it was that was a pretty big tree to be able to carve that out of. So you don't kind of see carvings much around here that size. So back to the tree here. So in a tree like this, we've been told, and this, by the way, this log right here is 61 feet long. Okay? I was told that it weighs somewhere between 50 and 60,000 pounds, and that there is approximately $60,000 worth of timber in the tree. So if you were to mill it down and sell it for individual boards, $50,000 to $60,000 worth of boards. The owner of the tree has agreed to sell us the tree for $5,000. The challenge is that we got some prices from companies because this just isn't laying on the side of the road. It has to be extracted. And we had a highball price from a guy who was really busy. He wanted to charge us $10,000 to extract it. So you have $5,000 for the tree, $10,000 to extract it, and then the trucking to bring it up to Idaho would be another $3,000, right? So as we're going through all this, we got another phone call. And the next phone call we got was from a guy, he's a Christian, not an Adventist. He's a tree man. And he goes, hey, I got a tree. And I really like what you guys want to do with the tree. I like the story of Daniel 2, and I like that it's Bible themed and everything. And the tree that I have is not cut down yet. It's over 5 feet in diameter, which was our minimum requirement, that we didn't want any tree less than 5 feet. And he goes, yep, it's over 5 feet in diameter. I didn't measure it exactly, but I know it's over 5 feet. It's still standing, and I'll talk the person that owns the property to see if they would be willing to sell it to you at a lower price. So he calls up the owner, tells them the whole story of what we want to do with it and all this kind of thing, and the homeowner says, I'll sell it to them for $2,000. Well, it's a couple hundred feet. So we can have whatever size log that we want. So this Monday, this one right here is still laying on the ground. We have until the middle of August to decide whether or not we want this one that's laying here, because there's no way to get it out of there right now anyway. The other one is slated to be cut down on August 6th. So we're told that not only is it remarkably rare to get a tree like this in Redwood, but it's remarkably rare to have 2 permits issued at the same time.
What's accessibility to get the second one?
Don't know. We've never been there. So this Monday, the tree man is going to go up to the site where the tree is with a measuring tape, take pictures to show us, the size of the tree and everything. And then he's going to start taking it down on August 6th. It's been offered to us for $2,000. So now what we have to do is figure out what it's going to cost to extract it. We have an Adventist tree guy who lives about 3.5 hours away that called yesterday and said he would volunteer to come and help officiate, so to speak, over extracting the tree and make sure that some company doesn't charge us an exorbitant amount of rate, because, everybody in that whole area right now is busy. It's just busy, boom town.
Do you have to pay to cut it
No, we don't have to pay to cut it down. The person that has the property is paying to cut it down. So we're just buying the actual tree, right? So there's a couple things we don't know. We know it's going to be around $3,000 to transport it back up here to Idaho. We know the tree log is going to cost $2,000, so that's $5,000. What we don't know yet is what the cost is going to be to extract it and load it onto the truck. But we do know this. Whatever it is, we have to have all the money in place by the 6th of August, which is not far away. Now, we have been for a year and a half searching for such a tree. They're just very rare. They don't come up. They're getting rarer and rarer and rarer. And so here we are. We're not moving forward by the light of our own kindling. We've been told large images. This is how the work is going to be finished. Thousands will be motivated to want to understand the prophecies by looking at these large images. We're repeating what was done in 1844. We're following all the counsel. And I, quite frankly, think that this log is a bargain. And for anybody that's gone to Home Depot lately to buy a 2x4, I don't know how many thousand 2x4s would be in this tree, but it's also a redwood tree. So it's highly desirable, and the counsel was that the two premier trees that you would want to carve would either be cedar or redwood, and this is a redwood. We are so close to making this happen. We have Eugene back here who's going to oversee the carving, mad talent. So the Lord has put that in place. I believe that the Lord has brought Eugene to this project for such a time as this. So history is being repeated. Look, somebody had to carve that tree in 1844, didn't they? And so here we are again. We are so close. We have finally been given a tree, and it is a premier tree. And we're so close. We just really need to pull the rest of this together, and we want to bring it up here to the northern Idaho area and carve it. And I can just see it now. This giant redwood tree stuck in the ground up here in North Idaho with a team of workers carving it, with hundreds of cars, if not thousands of cars, driving by every day saying, "What is this?" And having a sign there in a little parking lot where they can pull over and say, "Hey, come and ask questions and see what this is going to be." By the way, by the way, this is exciting to me. I think is it October or September? I've forgotten the date. Is it September for over at the Troy, Montana?
Oh, September.
It's Libby, Montana. September. End of September. The World Chainsaw, they have some kind of a chainsaw competition thing from all over the world. People from Germany, Norway, Sweden, and wherever else they have lumberjack types. From across the fruited plain, from all over the world. This year, they're going to be descending on Libby, Montana, which is about, hour and a half away or something like that, from where we want to carve the tree. And so you're going to have all this chainsaw interest from all over the world. And we would just love to be able to advertise, hey, if you're on vacation or you've come here for this chainsaw thing, hey, drive an extra hour down the road on your way back to the airport and come and check out this tree. Because you got to know, many of these people are going to be flying into Spokane, right? And then they're going to have to drive right by. So we can use this as a tool to inspire other people, not just in Sandpoint, but people that are coming from around the world. So we're close, guys. We're close. Well, we have, interestingly enough, there's about 6 locations that are for land that's for lease. Right in Ponderay, as you're driving through town, there are these vacant lots all up and down. And in fact, they're on both sides of the highway there, 95, as you're going north and south through Ponderay. And what we'd like to do is work out a deal with, and some of these properties have been sitting there for lease for years, is to work out a deal where we can carve it there. And I think it's a win-win situation for the property owner, because it's going to, what we're going to recommend is, hey, leave up your sign for lease. Don't take your lease sign down, but let us carve this thing there for a nominal price, and we're going to draw attention to your property, so it has the potential of being a win-win. So that's our plan. We want to do it in a highly visible place, and the spot that I really want to get, and Lord willing that it works out, is right next door to the rental center. You know where the tool rental place is? Why would we want to get the spot right next door? Well, because we're going to need man lifts and equipment and all this kind of stuff, and it's only 50 feet away, so that would be really advantageous. And in addition, what's almost across the street is Yokes. So we can go over there and get some lunch, bother Joni, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's where we are, and we're going back down there, some of us, on before April 6th. The guy that is cutting the tree down, August 6th, thank you. The guy that's cutting the tree down is really excited about this. He might even be excited about it more than anybody in this room, including me. He's really excited to have it videotaped, and the whole story has just really captivated this guy that's cutting it down. So I think that's providential too. So it is. And you know what's interesting? I can't remember the countless number of people that I talked to during the week that we were down there about this project and about getting a log, because when you say, hey, I'm looking for, a 7-foot diameter log, 40 feet long, people are like, what are you going to do with that? And then you tell them the story, and it really generates a lot of interest. So just looking for the tree alone, and we found out that these tree guys, they talk to each other. In fact, they kind of work with each other and everything. And we spread the word out. We were looking for this tree and what we were going to do with it. And so the understanding of Daniel 2 and the whole story just kind of went through the little industry right there. It's kind of neat. So.
Do you have any of those brochures to hand out?
You have to remember this. When we went down to California, we didn't know that we were going to even see anybody. We just were going on a mission, which, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I am terrified of heights. And and when we had to go to look at where the other tree was, it was in a canyon. It was in a one-way box canyon. And in some places, the road was probably, it was narrower than this room, so probably 12 feet in diameter. And so on one side, it's straight up. And on the other side, it's straight down, like 300 feet. And there's no guardrail or anything like this. And I almost wore the paint off the side of the vehicle, rubbing up against the canyon on the right side, because I was so close. Normally if you, can I get some amens? Yeah, on the left side. So I'm afraid of heights. So the goal is to be so far over that when I look down, I can't see into the chasm. But the road was so narrow that was impossible. So I had to pretend like I had blinders on and just kind of and it was just, I was coming around corners. And this is a situation, these roads are, if somebody's coming, there's no place to turn around or whatever, so you got to back up. And I was pulling a trailer too. And they were, and I say they, my associates, my wife, were, you can't get so close over here. Well, I'm not getting close over here. How long was the road up in there? 18 miles.
Did you have to come back
Yes. It was a box canyon. And I asked that when we were there. I was like, is there another way out? No. Well, it's not going to be a problem now for us. Did we take pictures of that? No. Very scary. Now, Pam Benton, the dear lady that had told us about this log that her husband Gerald had found, she asked me on the phone a week or two before we went up there. She goes, "You're not afraid of windy, narrow roads and all that kind of stuff, are you?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'll be okay." But when we actually got there, it was way above what I'm used to, and that I would want to do. And the next time I go up to visit them, I don't know. I'd probably have to be given a sedative to go back on that road.
Or a small vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think that would help. But anyway, she was telling me that in the wintertime that it becomes really scary because there'll be ice on the road and you just can't stop. And when I say 200-300 feet straight down, I'm not exaggerating. It's 200 or 300 feet straight down. So can I get an amen and a witness on that? Yes, okay. This is not. Okay, so any questions before we move on to our topic? No?